Good afternoon. I'm Rob Grimes, and I'm the CEO of the IFBTA, and I'm very pleased this afternoon to welcome you to our webinar series, today featured and presented by Jolt. So each Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. East Coast, we go ahead and we do one of these webinars, and we've covered a lot of different subjects. And it's turned out to be very interesting because of the broad number of things that are going on right now that we're able to take advantage of and impact. So with that, a couple of housekeeping things. So first of all, on the bottom of your screen is a Q&A tab, and if you want to ask a question, you should go ahead and insert it in the Q&A tab, not in the chat box. And we will be able to answer your questions as the webinar is going on, but also we will have an open mic Q&A at the end of this, which we will also ask questions and give you the opportunity to ask some questions directly if you would like. The session is being recorded, and it is going to be available after the webinar is done, both on the IFBTA's website, on LinkedIn, and it'll be through social media, and of course Jolt will be able to distribute as well. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Jay Jensen, the sales manager for Jolt.
Thanks for the introduction, Rob, and thanks for having us. We're excited to be participating in this webinar, and want to just thank everybody with the IFBTA for letting us join. Today's webinar, we're going to be discussing ways to build consumer confidence. We want to give you a brief and high-level overview of Jolt, just to help give you some context about who we are and what we do. Jolt is an operations platform that allows our customers to customize and track employee performance and instill accountability for their employees' work. So most of your day-to-day paper checklist forms and audits, they can be put into a digital version, allowing restaurants the ability to easily delegate responsibilities to their staff, like opening, closing procedures, temperature line checks, and much more. So our goal is to help restaurants improve their customer experience through enabling their employees and providing detailed visibility throughout the entire operation. My name is Jay Jensen, as Rob said. I'm a sales manager and Jolt solution expert. I've been with Jolt for nearly 4 years, and just am thrilled to be with the company and enjoy finding, identifying some of the biggest challenges in the industry and helping find solutions. I'll be the host today, and I'll also be hosted alongside with our VP of Customer Success, JP Scoville. JP began working with Jolt nearly a year ago and is passionate about driving innovation. JP's been working in the industry of customer success and relationship management for over 20 years and has an MBA from Duke University. We're also pleased to have our two panelists join us today. First, we have Jade Barignon from Zhao Asian Cafe. Jade holds a Bachelor of Science in Public Health and has been in the food and beverage industry for more than a decade. She's been with Zhao Asian Cafe for the last 3 years and works closely with the founder and VP of operations in their group. Lately, she's been busy heading up the Zhao coronavirus response, and she is involved launching new restaurant technologies and creating training programs. Also, we have joining us Patty Powers, the area supervisor at the McGuire Management Group. She's been with McDonald's for the last 30 years and has been a Jolt user since November. So we welcome both of you to the discussion. As a quick review, we're going to have that discussion. We're looking forward to learning from each of you, and after we'll share and discuss some of the best practices of how to respond to the current situation. And as Rob said, we'll conclude with a Q&A. So JP, why don't we just kick things off and have you share some of your thoughts around the current situation from some of the brightest industry leaders?
Sure. Thanks, Jay. As we've considered how we can help restaurants during and after this crisis, we've been listening to a lot of thought leadership in the industry, and it feels like a general theme is starting to surface. Al Paris talks about how in hospitality there will be a shift towards adding safety into the experience equation, saying safety is the new hospitality. And Robert Irvine says trust, transparency, and technology will be required to get customers back. And I'd like to add that to get customers back to their previous levels. We've been really focused on trying to understand how we can impact restaurants and make sure that they're still alive and well during this this crisis, and how we can help them through it. Now, we've asked both Jade and Patty to join us today, and we're really excited to have them here and to talk about how they're working to build consumer confidence in their restaurants. And so we'd like to have a panelist type forum, and we're going to be asking some questions of them and kind of feeding the conversation through those questions. So Jade and Patty, welcome. We're excited to hear from you. First question for the group. Jade, what do you feel the consumer is looking for before they come back to restaurants?
I think that they want to see action that's being taken with care. They want things that are happening right in front of them, that are measurable. They want to know that the brand is able to speak to what they're doing, and that they're recording their results and keeping track of everything that they're doing that's going to keep people safe. And one thing that I think is especially important is just making sure that the employees that are interacting directly with the customers know why they're taking these extra steps to sanitize and disinfect, and wearing a mask and wearing different types of gloves. And I think that's so important, to just have a great relationship with your customer and keep the dialogue open with them.
That's great. Patty, what are your thoughts on this? What do you feel consumers are looking for as they start to come back?
You know, I believe Jade is totally spot on with what she said. I think customers want to make sure that they feel safe. They need to have confidence that we're creating a safe environment for them, as well as our employees.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the sense that we're getting from industry leaders and from our customers. So thanks for that input.
Yeah, and Jade, we'll go back to you for this next question. Just over the last 8 weeks, the industry just is changing rapidly. So what are you doing differently now that you weren't doing about 8 weeks ago?
Well, one thing is we are keeping a finger on the pulse of everything that's happening with our county health guidelines. We have state health guidelines. We're following CDC guidelines. It's like we've got information coming at us from so many different directions. We're trying so hard to stay on top of all of that. We're using different colors of gloves to show the customers, the consumers, that we have white gloves for handling food, and we have blue gloves for when we're cleaning, and we've got our wellness checks. We are using the Jolt temperature feature, which normally we use for food now, to monitor our employees, and we get an alert whenever somebody puts in something that's kind of bizarre, if they miss a decimal point. And so that's really helpful for us to be able to have like a bird's eye view on everything that's happening in all of our stores.
And before I go to Patty, Jade, I have a follow-up question on that. I know you're involved in the training at your group. What have been some of the biggest challenges with having to manage all these new procedures from your group, and how do you navigate through that?
Well, so we have 11 locations across 4 different counties. So one of the things that is challenging for us is just figuring out whose rules are we going to follow. So we need to pull all 4 county orders and see which county has the most strict rules, and then we apply that across the entire company. So that is definitely challenging. And then, of course, the why. We want to make sure that all of our employees know why they're doing this. Like, why do I have to disinfect something every 30 minutes? Why is it so important to communicate with our customers so that they understand? Like, those are definitely the 2 biggest challenges.
Right. Patty, same question for you. Just what you're doing differently as opposed to 8 weeks ago in this rapidly changing environment.
You know, when back in November, when we started utilizing Jolt for digital food safety, that helped us get everybody on the same page, to hold everybody accountable, and we were able to see right immediately who was not doing digital food safety and who wasn't. But when coronavirus just started here, I guess the early part of March, immediately we were able to start making a COVID-19 checklist, utilizing the Jolt list, and we use that twice a day. And if they don't complete it, we get a message saying it's not complete. So that helps us a lot there to ensure that everything's being clean and sanitized like it should. And again, like Jade was saying, just ensuring that our employees know the reason why we're having to do this.
Excellent.
So Patty, as you've talked about that, you mentioned that you want to reassure that you are delivering at that level. How confident are you that it's being delivered?
The great thing about Jolt is because we have those completion reports, and we on our list we have set up ways to make sure that it's not pencil whipped, where they actually have to take pictures of the bathroom, and pictures of the beverage bar. So I know there's no way they're pencil whipping that information. And just being able to get that notification if it's not completed, and then having the completion report that tells us if we're 100% or not.
That's great. Jade, what are some of the things that you've done to make sure things aren't pencil whipped?
Absolutely the same things that Patty said. So many of those tools that we were using before all of this COVID nightmare started, so many of those tools have been able to pivot for us that we're now able to use. From food safety, we're translating that now over to this response. So we do have alerts set up, like I mentioned before, on the temperature ranges. We used to key in the temperatures for food, and now we're keying in the temperatures of our people. So, but we get alerts if something looks weird, and you can't pencil whip a picture and you can't pencil whip a video. So those tools are very helpful in making sure that the employees are crossing their T's and dotting their I's. Super helpful.
I wanted to add on, before we started Jolt back in November, I can't imagine having to go through coronavirus right now without that tool, because Jolt makes me feel more confident that we're doing what we should be doing.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Having a checklist that is consistent every day, it's going to populate at the same time every day, and everyone's going to be accountable for completing it's really great.
And then with coronavirus, it seems like every day something changes, or, we need to add this to a step. And with the list on Jolt, it's very easy to make those changes, and it's immediate, and it goes to all 19 of our restaurants, and I'm not having to drive all over town to take something to them. It's already on their list.
Yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of positive feedback on our social media. We've been elevating our digital presence with all the social distancing measures that are in place now. And so we've been getting people, they're taking notice. They see the team members walking around with the iPads and checking things off and making sure it's done. And they're telling us, they're giving us that feedback on Instagram and Twitter and, our Yelp comments and all that. And it's been phenomenal.
This is Rob. Let me just sort of jump in here for a second, because there's two things that just came out of this conversation. The first one is that a decision was made, I believe, Patty, you said last September, and Jade, I'm not sure exactly when you put it in, but you could have never predicted the situation we'd be in right now. And a lot of people, so you might say that you were sort of forward thinking in putting this all together. So what was it at the time that made you go ahead and make this decision? And the second part of that question is, had you not have made that decision, what would be different for you right now?
It was actually November when we rolled out the 6 test stores that was on the pilot when we rolled out digital food safety. And the main reason we wanted to do that was to ensure we were a safe place for people to eat. And to be honest, there was pencil whipping happening on those food safety books. And once we rolled it out, I think our average is 98.62% company-wide. And I think that's pretty impressive. But it not only fixed food safety, but it also fixed the quality issues as well, because our meat's not overcooked and the quality is better. And then just being able to have the different lists on Jolt, I cannot imagine what we would do right now if we did not have Jolt. And like I have 6 restaurants that I'm responsible for, but they're in different counties. So if I wanted to implement a change, I would, spend an hour or hour and a half in a car taking different information to different stores. But with Jolt, if I need to change a procedure or something on the list, it's immediate. And then we have the capability to look at the completion reports to see, who's doing it, who's not, and then hold people more accountable.
I just want to jump in as well. Thanks, Patty and Rob, for coming in. Just for some clarification for some of the questions that have been coming in on the Q&A chat. Feel free to keep those Q&A questions coming in. We'll hope to get to most of those by the end when we do our Q&A. But from what it looks like, just some more context around Jolt. So Jolt, for those that either may have come in late or have no idea what Jolt is, it's a platform that allows you to digitize your checklist, digitize your operation, make standard procedures. So think of your opening and closing tasks and checklists, any sort of food safety type checklist. So part of our module is digital food safety, ensuring temperatures are accurate, food is hot and fresh. So that's a high level overview of how Jolt helps, but just overall, just getting your operation in sync with communication tools, improved training modules, reference guides. So you can basically, we'll show you this here in a minute with JP, but basically being able to take media files and get it in front of your staff, so they have a better understanding of how to complete things accurately and efficiently. So I know that gives you a little bit of context around what they're talking about, but a lot of the procedures that they're talking about and the trainings that they've had to change over the last several weeks have been put into a digital checklist version on a tablet or phone, and allows your employees to get that in their hands and complete that so that people like Patty, who are managing and operating their restaurants, can get visibility across the entire operation. So I think they've kind of answered our last question that we had, is what are some of the technologies? We wanted to kind of get to that. What are the technologies you are using? But I don't know, either Jade or Patty, if there's anything else you'd like to add about that question.
We are utilizing the checklist a lot. And Jade had mentioned that they do that as well as far as temperature checks. But it's just such a great tool because, if we have a cooler that's down or a freezer or something, immediately I know about it without having somebody to call me or, it's on the tool. I automatically get a notification. So we're just really using Jolt for not only digital food safety, but the COVID list, also just operations as far as it goes with pre-shift checklist to ensure that we're ready for the rushes.
Fantastic. Jade, I don't know if you have anything else to add before we move into showing you just a couple of things that we've been putting together. Any last thoughts there before we kind of have to move on to showing some of the ideas and things? Any last things to add there?
No, I think Patty, she covered it. The checklists are super helpful. I think just having that very familiar repetition set that it shows up consistently every day. You've got your time frames, what your expectations are. Setting the expectations is so important. And she definitely hit that all right on the head.
Fantastic. Well, JP, why don't you show some of the thoughts and ideas we've put together, and our customers have been a huge help in working with us in identifying some of the best practices out there to instill consumer confidence through this whole challenging pandemic. But yeah, JP, why don't you hit on the next couple of slides and show what we've done?
Sure. This started as we were trying to understand what we could do to make an immediate impact. As soon as coronavirus hit and we realized that restaurants were going to be slowing down and sometimes shut down completely, we wanted to make sure we could make a difference as quickly as possible. So the first thing that we did is launch some operational content that aligned with the CDC recommendations to keep restaurants in a healthy, safe spot, right? And so those checklists are really built around sanitization and back of house and front of house best practices. We've got lists for employee well checks. We've got lists for just ordinary operational behaviors that are enhanced and focused on the CDC recommendations during this pandemic. So that's the first thing that we did. The second thing is we realized this was a lot of additional work. There was a lot that was going on in each of these restaurants, and we wanted to make sure restaurants were being recognized for this additional effort. So we've created a dashboard that you saw just a second ago that showcases how those lists are being used, when they're being completed, and it enables customers to build some confidence as they see those dashboards, their customer-facing dashboards that can be used to showcase how restaurants are performing. The second thing that we've done is we've implemented labels like this that you can use to seal food. It's another opportunity to market the benefits and the work that you're doing in the restaurants. And so you can print these labels and seal food with these to make sure that they're safe, especially as delivery comes into the mix and it's going from restaurant hands to a delivery person's hands and on. And then finally, we've got one of the challenges that restaurants have is that there are a lot of different places where customers touch things, and they're often difficult to clean. Menus has come up as one of those items. So we're offering the opportunity to use a QR code to scan and pull up a digital menu on a device so that you don't have to use the laminated menus that are there in the restaurants, or create a paper menu that's disposable and then increase costs by a drastic measure as you try to manage that sanitization with the change of hands.
And JP, real quick, if we could maybe go back a slide or two, I think there's to the dashboard view. I don't know if we can go back to that.
Yeah, here's the dashboard.
Yeah, right here. So yeah, this obviously is right now a picture of a tablet like an iPad or whatever Android or phone you have. But this is where you can. I mean, we've been helping customers display this to their customers, right? So getting this dashboard of when the drive-through services were sanitized, and it can show exactly on the dashboard the last time these type of activities of sanitization were completed. And so I just want to make sure we spent some time hitting on that as well, because that's one of the things I think consumers are a little uneasy about, right? Are they actually cleaning? How well are they doing it before they come back into dining in a restaurant? This is an idea we had to really give consumers the confidence come back in the stores once we get to that point.
Thanks, Jay.
So I know, and I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, Pat or Jade. We wanted to save some time for Q&A, and we've had a handful of questions come in. So maybe that can just open the conversation for the last little bit here. So yeah, I guess on this, Rob, do you have the questions on your end there?
Yeah, I do have some of them that are here. There's some really interesting things that are here, and there's a couple more that I thought about that I just wanted to ask our panel about. It's not all about single systems, and things have to integrate and work together, whether it's a process or whether it's a technology. So how have you guys integrated Jolt into the overall process in the restaurant, more than just checklists, which have been discussed, but also into the other technologies and perhaps supply chain and other things like that?
I think we can
one
get
of the
around that. But I'd really like to hear. Go ahead, Bob.
Sorry about that. Yeah, one of the interesting things that Jolt has is the ability to work with time and attendance and scheduling as well. So when we look at other technologies within the restaurants, we can work with, integrate, and pull data over. Some of the new training companies out there today, the interaction between the LMS systems plus us, where we can pull that and store it in a digital library, is really important. As we kind of look across the platform, we have a really robust API that allows us to kind of work with third parties within the estate, the technology estate of a particular location. So that's something that we're really excited about and brings additional value.
I also wanted to add something to that. We utilize Slack as a form of communication for all 19 of our restaurants. And Jonathan McGuire, the owner, I know he's been working with Jolt, and he got the API information. So instead of having the notifications come via text message or email, he's going to set it up where the Jolt notifications will also pop up on Slack, because that's our main form of communication in our organization. He's actually in the process of doing that now. It's not finished yet. But that's one thing I liked about Jolt, where as a supervisor, I use Slack, and I just have to look at one thing instead of several other things of communication.
Because there really is no such thing as just single silos. Everything really does have to work together, right?
Yeah.
We had somebody ask a question, and you know, this is an interesting one because people are looking for tips if they were about to open up something new. And so if somebody was actually opening up a new restaurant right now, how would they do things differently, or what would they put Jolt in now to help them to open from day one?
I think there are a lot of ways that they could use Jolt to train and to launch the restaurant. As far as different previous to what they would have done before COVID-19, there's really, the real benefit it comes from the content that we've produced and the dashboards that we're delivering around protecting the restaurant space and making sure consumers are confident to return to a restaurant. But I know, Jay, you've opened several restaurants using Jolt. What are some of the things that you've used Jolt for to help launch those restaurants?
Oh, we've got some opening new marketing material checklists that we use just to make sure we've got like the right banners up. And right now we have so many signs. We've got our social distancing signs. We've got our don't come in if you have symptoms signs. We're not taking cash right now sign. So we do have a Jolt list for when you open every day, just to make sure you have all the signage up. And we do utilize that when we launch new restaurants too, to make sure we've got, you know, our banners and all of those types of things. We have a list for ordering office supplies. We've got, I mean, all of the lists, just lists upon lists. And then the great thing is we can link back to the, what did you guys say? It was information library that has all of our reference PDF documents and pictures and videos. So it's like, you're not just looking at a list that has a bunch of text on it. It's got, you know, you click on it, a little icon, and you can watch a video of what does the perfect open restaurant look like. So we're taking advantage of all of those tools on Jolt.
That's great.
And I will say, Jolt is just very easy to use. It has so much that you can do on there. You can create, if you just have an idea of, you know, hey, I need to do this and create a new list, you can do that and have it done in 5 minutes, and it can be spread out to all your restaurants and not just that one. And the library we use a lot when we're getting ready to roll out another store, or we have a new manager. I can just go on there and email them the link where they can go to the Jolt library and watch whatever videos they need to know.
Thanks, Patty. That's great insight.
So I wanted to thank all of our panelists, because we've really come to an end here, and also a special thank you to Jolt, you know, for putting this forward and bringing forward a new way of thinking actually in the industry. I know we all focus on some of the other technologies that we need to operate, but what's become even more clear now in the crisis that we're going through is that how important that food safety handling is really to the overall operation. And these are clearly some operators who took advantage of it before, And I think we're going to see even more of that coming forward, and integration and customer expectations as well. So we're at the end of our half an hour. I wanted to thank everyone for attending today. I especially wanted to thank Jolt again for doing this presentation and being a proud industry partner of the IFBTA. These seminars and webinars are 2 o'clock p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they are recorded, and they will be up on our website very shortly after this is over. It'll be posted online as well. So with that, I'd like to thank you for attending, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.